No, we're talking about innovation, we're talking about disruption, and we just haven't been able to innovate and figure out a way to breathe better air. We in New Delhi, yes, and I do live in New Delhi, are in a gas chamber. The air quality has hit the emergency level. The government is in a quandary. It is completely perplexed and out of ideas. Civil society is up in arms, demanding answers. If you look at the images today, they're absolutely horrific. I don't even remember what the blue skies look like anymore. For the last 2 weeks, we have been living in this gas chamber enveloped with a thick smog. The situation had become so bad it had even impacted flights. And you know, National Capital Region is also supposed to be the hotbed for entrepreneurs. Remember, Delhi came out with a report where it boasted of having more entrepreneurs than what is usually considered the Silicon Valley of India, which is Bengaluru. I'm going to reach out to one of the most respected voices from the world of startups, Deep Kalra of MakeMyTrip, India's original unicorn. Deep Kalra, based out of Gurgaon. Thanks so much for joining us here. I know you are very, very passionate, Deep, when it comes to the environment. You have often talked about it. You have written op-eds about it. And I'm going to just begin by asking you this, like, look at what we're breathing. Why are we even living in the National Capital Region? I'm sorry if I sound angry, but I think I'm catching the pulse of everyone who's having to breathe this air.
No, it's a very good question, and I think everyone's asking themselves the same question, especially those who have the wherewithal to probably be mobile and to leave. And it's a distressing situation. I think we're all breathing the same air, so it's a confounding dilemma why nothing is done about it year after year. In fact, things are probably getting worse. They are grim. You look out of the window and you're wondering which part of the world are you in, because everything's either white or gray. And this is clearly not, I think, what anyone deserves in any part of the world, and definitely not in the capital of one of the most, happening countries in the world, which is New Delhi and India and the NCR region. So, we did a survey last year, Nayantara, about around the same time inside our office, and we got over, I think, 1,300 respondents. And we asked people, about pollution and how important is this for them? Would they consider actually leaving, moving? How much time and money are they wasting because of this? And the results were really, really astounding. They were a slap on our face, and a large number of people said if they could move, they would move out. So I think the industry as a whole, we're just one company. I know a couple of other companies who did it. I read the very interesting, ET supplement, which was focused on this. And these are grim realities of our time. So I think if this is not fixed, like literally now, and therefore we see effects very soon, a lot of people are going to leave, talent is going to leave, and it's, more than anything else, it's really going to make people very unwell and very sick, and especially those who are more fragile. So the youngsters, the kids, the older people with breathing issues are really in a bad way.
In fact, Deep, we always make this mistake of only talking about our lungs. But it impacts all of us. Look at the liver, how much is probably working in overdrive to just flush out the toxins. I was reading this this study that was put together by Dr. Soin of Medanta. He heads the liver department over there. But, the other question I had to ask you, and I'm going to lean on your expertise for what you do, why we've got you on the channel, why you became a unicorn, a billionaire, which is MakeMyTrip. You have access to data. Look what's going on. And we've had a plethora of dignitaries who have been visiting India. I remember when it got really bad, Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, visited India. She's a very brave lady. And since then, we have seen that, how, we've had foreign dignitaries over here. But if you were to see what's happening on MakeMyTrip, are you seeing a spike in outbound travel? Are inbound travel cancellations taking place?
Yeah, so I think inbound, because New Delhi is such an important destination for business and for work, and it was also kind of, last week was a lot of it was Diwali coming home. So it's too early to call. But if you were to just kind of filter out people who are coming for vacation, which won't be so many people from India, but it would be international people coming to India. And we know peak season is around the corner. December is when a lot of holidays happen. I have no doubt that there'll be people thinking twice once this goes out, that there's an emergency. This is a health emergency. and no one travels when there's an emergency. So you will have cancellations. People are trying to escape. Just the other day, people were saying if they can, they will. The Diwali, holiday is over, but some people have the luxury of being able to work from, let's say, Bangalore in our office because we have a very large office and center there for tech. It's a good time to be away, but your families are here, so it's very hard to pick everyone and move. I have no doubt that if this continues, schools will be shut. It's the weekend now, but I think some schools were shut already today, and they're definitely going to be schools shut next week. And it's too late now to react for the immediate future because whatever we do now is not going to impact. So I think it needs a very concerted effort, and we have to look not very far. I mean, Beijing tackled this problem with the blue skies approach, and they did it by a multi-pronged strategy on all aspects. So first thing to do is you break down where is the pollution coming from, what's the root of the problem. The root cause of the problem here is A, vehicular, B, crop burning, which is maybe a period of 3 weeks. C, these are, we have through Diwali, we have crackers and other kinds of pollution. And then we've got fossil fuels being burned, which starts happening as it gets colder, which it hasn't till now. The temperatures dipped only yesterday till now, and Delhi has actually not even been cold. And because we're in the Gangetic Plain, a lot of stuff stays here, which you can't change overnight. So I think if we don't attack each of these problems well in advance, it's just going to get worse every year. So it's as simple as that.
And what is also very frustrating is that everyone is just passing the buck. You're not able to think of anything outside of odd even. When we all know what the real reason is, and it is the wind movement and the crop burning which is taking place, the minimum support price that you offer to rice, which is why farmers are growing it, the time of sowing and all of that. We're just seeing a passing of the buck between the chief ministers. Supreme Court, yes, is facing action. But, I have to say this as well. The Prime Minister, despite his large mandate, having that palatial house on local landmark, formerly called Racecourse Road, has not spoken about pollution. He was actually, in fact, in Bangkok talking about ease of living and forest cover and all of that. So the government is clearly not going to do anything. It's looking like that. Is it going to be down to you and me and civil society?
Yeah, I think civilians are very happy to play a part, but I don't think we can fix some of these issues alone. So I think everyone can be more responsible. Like I was distressed when I still saw and heard a very large number of crackers go off during those couple of hours. I mean, come on, the first thing you need to do is ban that, but that's just one part of it. Crop burning year and year and year after the same issue. I mean, let's not politicize this particular thing. I mean, the happy seeders a solution, then let's figure out how to fund a large number of happy seeders and go ahead and fix that problem and make crop burning then, either banned. But for the poor farmer out there, he's saying, listen, my cost is got to be as cheap as one matchstick. And that's the reality, because for them, they're saying, listen, the easiest thing to do is burn. Many countries have gone through this cycle. I was talking to someone from Sweden, and they said 20 years ago, we used to have the same issue, but we figured out that pummeling is actually a better solution, and then we got machines to pummel back. So I think the government, through legislator, will have to come in and not rely on knee-jerk reactions like, or even, sure, you got to do it as a last resort. I have no problem with it, but I think it inconveniences a lot of people. There's a loss of productivity. You have to just calculate how much we are losing as an economy because of people falling sick, because of their people in their family falling sick, so they can't come to work, and people saying we want to leave. So I think there are just so many reasons that we are losing out as businesses and an economy that if for no other reason, let's at least do it for economic growth.
That's absolutely right. There is, of course, a productivity which is being impacted by the air. We're not going to be productive if you're all coughing and wheezing and having to go to doctors. Plus, you've got odd even on, which, as Deep Kalra is pointing out, is a last resort. We knew there would be crop burning. We didn't do anything. It happens year after year. So after seeing these horrific images, Deep Kalra, do you really think that we're going to continue seeing multinational companies choose Gurgaon? Gurgaon is known as the home to Fortune 500 companies. It is the home, the largest home to multinational companies. I will caveat that you live in Gurgaon, I live in Gurgaon, but why will anybody set up shop there?
Absolutely. If I was a decision maker today and I was visiting or I lived here and I had the option of setting up a new establishment, let's say in any part of India, So I've taken a decision, or my company's taken a decision, head office, that let's go to some part of India. It won't be NCR today. That's very clear. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind.
You know, you do move in circles with decision making. You made the decision many, many years ago to set up a base in the National Capital Region. I don't know if you're looking to leave the National Capital Region after what we are seeing that is taking place. But, you know, you do have access to people who are looking at making decisions. You interact regularly with young entrepreneurs as well as large corporations that want to set up base in India. Are they looking at the National Capital Region, or has this actually scared them?
Absolutely. There are a lot of people now. One more big plus in favor. See, Nayantara, there are things you can factor in, you can negotiate, and you can give weights to and say, basically, we will live with it, i.e. traffic in Bangalore. Yes, it's bad, but you say, listen, we'll live with it because overall climate's great, availability of tech talent is good, it's a good place to live, etc., etc. It's safe, we'll go there. Bombay people for the longest time have said, okay, space is a constraint, traffic is bad, but guess what? Get your location right where you're living, and Bombay is very professional. Delhi seemed to have a lot going for it. So we had the space in Delhi. With metro, we had great connectivity happening. We actually, with CNG and metro, we actually had all the right reasons to take vehicles off the road. Some hybrid cars, etc., were coming in, but that's again gone too slow. But with this, there are certain things which are non-negotiable. How are you going to negotiate with health? If you're not well or your kids aren't well, that's end of story, right? I mean, so you can't work. So I think it's a very big factor. It's not something where you say, okay, another 30 minutes a day on the road and we'll suffer it and we'll take it. It's not that. It's as simple as, do you want to be healthy or not? And I think we've all read about not the short term, but the long term impact of what we are breathing. And that's the scary.
Exactly, because whether you won't have a choice, you will be smoking 40, 50, 60, 100 cigarettes a day with what we're breathing.
That's the scary part. What we're doing to ourselves and our insides. And again, I reiterate, for the older folks and for young kids who are far more fragile, I hate to say it, but I think we'll be pushing a lot of older people into very severe ill health and accelerating that for them. By this kind of climb.
Deep Kalra, before I let you go, you are someone that interacts a lot with new entrepreneurs, startups. You mentor so many of them. And I'm coming back to the business side of this, and the very fact that the government is not doing much, the Supreme Court, yes, is monitoring it. Do you think that maybe now that is what it rests on, innovation by these startups, innovation by technology companies, innovation by citizens, just so that we have a right to breathe?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I think we're going to see pressure coming from civic groups for sure. I think a lot of companies, a lot of corporates are definitely solving for, let's say, cleaner air inside their offices. So, I feel very good when I tell people, and internally we are publishing a dashboard of the quality of air inside, which is significantly better. So we bring down 2.5 and 10 mm particles down to 1/3 of what they are outside. That's great, but then you can't live in a cocoon. You have to, at the end of the day, go outside, and people also go back away from work. So I think we can put pressure. Innovative solutions will also take time. I think innovations have to be done on scale. And that's why I really believe this problem is squarely something which has to be fixed by the powers that be, with civilian groups, with everyone being responsible citizens and definitely obeying, and not going ahead and saying, oh, we'll still burst crackers, or we'll still take as much of car as we can, or we'll have gas guzzlers. So I think we'll have to be responsible, but we can put pressure, but I don't think the solution lies here. It's at a scale which is infrastructural. So I'm very hopeful that the government will take this one time as a final kind of wake-up call and say, enough is enough.
Enough is indeed enough. I just hope we do something about it. We know every year this problem is going to exist. We've just not been able to figure it out. We can blame a whole host of issues. We can try odd even, but the fact is, till you have a solution to crop burning or you change the direction of the winds, which we can't, this problem is going to recur, and it's going to happen every year. Deep Kalra, thank you so much for joining us and for being candid as well. It's not very often that you see people being candid, and as Deep Kalra really was, he is one of the stalwarts when it comes to the startup universe. We get him here. We usually talk to him about his business and how he's mentoring entrepreneurs. But he's been one of the most vociferous voices against all of us breathing that toxic air. Hope somebody's listening. Hope somebody figures out a way. Otherwise, I guess we'll all be dying breathing this air.